Hello and welcome.
To the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, where if shipping One Piece characters is wrong, I don't want to be right. My name is Courtney,
And I'm Wolf.
and every week we're going through One Piece, one manga volume at a time, and this week we're covering volume 9. I am so excited to jump right into this. If you guys aren't already, rate, review, and subscribe, and leave a comment below. So this week we're going through volume 9, and if you're reading on the Shonen Jump app, that's going to be volume 72 through 81, correct?
Yep.
It seems like every volume's about 9 chapters. So last week we left off with Arlong and Nami at Arlong Park. We had Zoro being let loose by Nami as everybody else kind of was thinking she was a traitor. She's helping him get away. And then we have Usopp out running amok in the village, and Arlong is apprehending a guy named Genzo.
Mm-hmm.
And Genzo is like the city mayor kind of, and he ends up being a really important part of Nami's kind of family and backstory. So we have Arlong chasing after Genzo and beating him up in front of the whole village, and then we have Usopp kind of coming in to disturb that. At the same time, we have Nami letting Zoro go. So a lot of stuff going on at the end of last chapter, and at the beginning of this chapter, that's kind of where we pick up. Wolfgang, will you kind of take us through this volume?
No, yeah, I mean, you kind of said some of it already, but it opens up with Arlon attacking Genzo because he had a weapon. At the same time, Zoro is at Arlon Park, where the bad guy's hideout is, and he is kind of beating up all the fishermen pirates and kind of coming back to the island. And so what ends up happening is you have Genzo and Arlon. All of a sudden, Usopp sees this whole event going down. This is on top of a building in the village. Shoots a little crossbow or a little
Exploding star.
exploding star. Yeah, has a little slingshot on a crossbow
To try to save Genzo from Arlong. And
Yeah.
he doesn't even know who Genzo is. He's just doing this because he's a stand-up guy.
He's just
and
being a good guy. Yeah.
yet again, I was like surprised at how cute I thought Usopp was, because I thought he was always such like a dorky coward, especially in the anime. But in the manga, he's really made out to be a lot more heroic. And this is a moment where you see his legs are shaking, and it doesn't matter because he's still going to stand up for what's right, even if he doesn't know who these people are. So I love that moment, even though it doesn't help very much, because then Arlong just starts picking up the house that Usopp is standing up.
Yeah, he starts destroying the village, which is like the opposite of what he wanted. But he shoots Arlon as soon as he's about to kill Genzo, and then runs down to Arlon Park, or what just into the forest is what he thinks. And so at the same time, what's happening is Zoro has beaten up these guys, like I said, and is getting a ride from Hachi, a octopus fish man, because Hachi thinks that Zoro is Arlon's guest, and so he's doing a nice thing.
I love this part because it's so funny because Zoro, who is so hot in this moment, is just kind of like sitting, kicking back, relaxed in Arlong's chair, and all of Arlong's fishmen are dead around him. And then Hachi, the octopus, comes up. He's a cuddly octopus man, and he's like, "Who are you? What happened to everybody here?" And he's like, "I don't know what happened to everybody here. I'm just a guest of Arlong's." And he's like, "Oh, well, should we go find Arlong?" And he's like, "Yeah, bring me to Arlong. Why don't you give me a ride?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll tow you over there." So he helps Zoro get to where Arlong is. And Zoro, who is like, we're already getting this trope that Zoro gets lost all the time and has no sense of direction. And really, he has no idea how to get to where the action is unless someone helps him get there. And that's a good plot device, because otherwise Zoro would just be finishing every fight before they even started.
100%.
He's like way too powerful. So Hachi goes to bring him to the village. And at the same time, Arlong is returning back to Arlong Park.
And at the same time, also, Nami is coming back to the village, which is also kind of an important part.
Yep.
Because as soon as Nami gets back, and everyone knows her at the village because this is like her home village. But as soon as she gets back, everyone's quiet and no one wants to say anything. And like no one talks to her, no one acknowledges her. And it's kind of like a huge scene because you start to see like the people don't really appreciate Nami, or they don't really like Nami.
Yeah, they're giving her the cold shoulder, and she's going to her house at the Tangerine farm, and she's going to visit her sister, and everyone else is very cold to her. And then her sister kind of finds her in there and says, "Nami, you've been wrecking the place again." And she said, "I'm sick of your tantrum." So it seems like every time Nami comes back to the house, she goes there pretty routinely for a certain secret reason, and we learn it's to bury the treasure that she's stealing from people.
Yeah.
And every time she goes there to bury the treasure, she kind of like is upset, and it feels like the only place she can really kind of break down a little bit. And her sister later tells us that nobody sees her cry and nobody sees her ask for help. And so we're starting to understand that Nami's
a bad bitch, tell you what.
She's a bad bitch, and everything she does for other people, and she never lets them see or give her any credit for that.
That's my girl right there.
Yeah, she's fucking hardcore. And this backstory really makes you understand like why she's everybody's favorite, because regardless of not getting any credit for what she's doing, she keeps doing the work she knows she has to do to try to set her people free. And to everyone else, it looks like she's a bad guy and that she's betrayed them, but she knows that she is being a double agent, and she's working bit by bit to save enough money to try to buy her village back from Arlong. And later on, we do find out that the villagers are like kind of in on this, but it is quite sad that they aren't able to show Nami the appreciation they want to without kind of putting more pressure on her than she already has put on herself.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, this is like one of my favorite mangas that we've read in a while of the One Piece. I think up to now, this is probably my favorite One Piece.
The best
manga.
Volume.
Yeah, because it has a lot of like really juicy like storytelling. You get a lot of Fishman in there, but also there's a lot of emotion throughout this entire one. Entire openings, let's say opening sequence is going on. You also have Luffy, Sanji, and Yasuko out at sea, and they're coming to Arlon Park, and all of a sudden a massive sea cow. Momu, is it Momu?
It's okay. Momu, the sea cow. And when they see them, they're all eating dinner, and it seems like he's hungry, so he goes to eat their food. And Luffy is like, "Don't touch our food." And Sanji goes, "I'll give you some food." But then the sea creature tries to eat him too, and he's like, "You can't eat me." So they kind of beat up the sea creature.
They end up beating him up and then tying him to the front of the ship so they don't have to row anymore.
They use him as like a carriage horse and have reins on him, and they're like, "Giddy up, take us to Arlong Park." And it's pretty funny seeing them like domesticate this sea creature so quickly. And then as they're getting to shore, it flings them with too much power against the shore, and they fly up over the shore, and they're all like, "Oh my god, we're in a flying ship." And Sanji's like, "We're not flying, we're falling." They fall and land basically almost on top of Zoro,
who's running to Arlon Park. So this is kind of the whole sequence. Is like while everything's happening, Zoro's running, the ship's coming in, Nami is like at the village. All these things are kind of happening at once.
Yep. So everybody is kind of starting to converge in one place, but we see that Usopp is
he's captured at this point at the Arlong Palace.
Yes, he's captured at Arlong Palace. Everybody else, like, they keep getting scattered up like this. It's very Scooby-Doo mystery show where it's like every time they get split up, bad things happen to each one of them, and when they're all together as a gang, they do solve the mystery and they get like the action done. So Usopp goes to Arlong Park, and the rest of these guys are kind of like, I don't remember why they get split up at this point, but Usopp is there, and he is basically trying to save Nami.
In the last one, they had taken 2 different ships.
Oh, that's right, because Usopp's not with them at this point.
Exactly.
So then we have Usopp at Arlong Park with Nami, and he is like, "Nami, help me, save." And he says, "No, don't kill me, because if you kill me, Zoro will come here and he'll get you." And he's like, "Okay, then I'll kill you faster because it'll get Zoro here, and I'm looking for Zoro."
This part's funny because I wonder if this is where you're friends at the other podcast that talks about the
One Piece of Trash.
I wonder if this is where they got some of their like inspiration.
Well, they didn't write the fanfic. If you guys haven't listened to One Piece of Trash, the podcast, you have to go listen to it. It's amazing. They're voice actors who read fan fiction out loud on the podcast, and they get permission from the author who wrote it. Oh, it's
actual fan fiction. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yes, it's that. But I love this scene because like Usopp is basically begging Nami for help, and Nami says in her own mind, "If I let on that he's my real friend, then my cover will be blown. So I have to kill him before anyone else can kill him and make it look believable." So she goes up and betrays everybody on the Straw Hat crew by stabbing Usopp through the stomach. And Johnny is watching, and Johnny's like, "That witch killed Usopp. I saw blood go everywhere. I saw her really stab him and push him in the water." And what she did at that moment, I watched this in anime and forgot it. And as we're reading the manga, I got so upset. I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot she stabs Usopp."
You got so nervous. Like, what happens again? I have no idea.
I was like, I forgot she does this to him. And then you see pretty quickly that she stabbed through her own hand to make it look believable. So she would never betray them. And at this time, Usopp had also said something like, "I can't believe Luffy trusted you. He really thought you were his friend. He didn't believe that you were bad, and he was, going to fight tooth and nail to get you back. He should have never trusted you." And you can see in her eye never stop believing in her, even though she seemed to have double crossed him so many times, has really affected her. So she doesn't kill Usopp. She gets him out of there and into safety. Usopp meets back up with the gang.
She stabs Usopp, but she stabs her hand instead.
I said that part.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry. I didn't hear you say. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear you say that. But yeah, but she stabs her hand, and then Usopp falls in the water.
She pushes him in the water.
Pushes him in the water, kind of like the exact Zoro thing, but like instead of having to stab Zoro, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, so then he like swims off, and Nojiko has met up with the Straw Hats, and Johnny is trying to tell all the Straw Hats that he saw Usopp get killed right at this time. Usopp is like runs into them, and they see that he's not dead, he is still alive, and he tells them all what's going on. He's like, Nami's trying to pay off her village. She pretended to kill me so that I could get away, and she's not bad. She's not a witch. She's tricked everybody, but she is still our friend. We have to go get her. And so they kind of team back up at this point, and everybody is pretty much on the same page, which is a relief after all the misunderstanding and running around that they've been doing.
And then all of a sudden Nami shows up, and kind of and for the most part Nami just, I mean, I think this is like what shows why Luffy is such a good friend, because Nami says a bunch of trash to him, like a bunch of ish.
Yeah, get out of here, leave the island, I don't need you, I don't want you.
Essentially, in the nicest of words, saying, like, get out of here, like, you're not welcome, like, I don't want to see you ever again. And Luffy the whole time is like, oh, dude, it doesn't matter, like, I'm just gonna take a nap, I'm tired, like, don't worry about it. Like, he's such a good friend in the sense of, like, even when your friend is, like, having, like, the worst time of their life and crashing out, like, he'll still be cool and be there for you when you're ready for it, which is like really cool of Luffy.
Even when you're pushing people away, the ones who know you best know that you still need them, and that you just need a little space and time before you're ready to ask for help. And that's what this whole volume is about being ready to ask for help and realizing that you can't take on all of the bad things in the world yourself, and you can't save everybody you love single-handedly. You're going to need to rely on the people that you trust to help you with that, and it's really beautiful. So she tries to push them away, and then she basically goes to like get her treasure and try to pay off Arlong, and that's when Nojiko tells everybody her backstory.
Yeah, what happens is like Nami leaves, and then Nojiko like kind of walks up on like the Straw Hat crew as soon as Nami leaves, and kind of tries to console them and be like, hey, I know that she can be kind of, you know,
confusing,
mean, but this is why. And then you get the whole backstory, which I'll let you take because this is like your favorite.
This backstory is so heartbreaking. So Belle-Mère raised Nojiko and Nami, and we find out that what happened was she was a fighting sailor, and out on the sea she was left for dead, and right as she's left for dead, like beat up and bleeding out on the shore after a big fight, a little girl walks up to her with a baby in her arms, and the baby is smiling and laughing, and she says, oh, is this your sister? And the older girl says, no, it's not my sister. And she's like, well, we're all family now. I'll decide to live instead of dying here, even though I'm on the verge of death, because I see that this little baby who's laughing and smiling doesn't know that anything bad is going on around her, and I want to live so that she can have more happy memories. And if you just choose to survive, there'll be a lot of good times ahead of you. And I believe that, and I believe if I can get us off this coast, I can get us to safety. So she gets them back to the Cocoa Village, and when everyone sees her, this troublemaking, she's got to be 22 years old at this time because it was 8 years before her death.
I mean, if you know what this is, she looks like Tank Girl almost. She has like shaved head, like shaved sides of her head, like a mohawk almost. Kind of like that one Australian dude in Yu Yu Hakusho. Just a really cool chick character, to be honest.
Very cool design. And then she's smoking cigarettes. She shoots with guns.
But a troublemaker.
A total troublemaker. And when she left the village, everyone thought she was a troublemaker. And then she turned into basically a mercenary. And when she's out on the ocean, everyone is like, well, she's really badass. And then she comes back with these two girls. And they're like, where have you been? What have you been doing? And you definitely can't just take on these two girls. You're not cut out to be a mother. And she's like, I am cut out to be a mother. I'm going to do whatever I want. And I'm going to raise these two little girls. Now get them help because they're dying. So they give them medical attention. Everybody lives. And then we see the girls as they're like 8 and 10 years old. They're running amok in the village. It's so cute. Belle-Mère is working this tangerine farm that they own, this little piece of land. And Nami gets caught by Genzo, the mayor, stealing a book, and he brings her back to Belle-Mère and says, you have to reprimand your little brats because they're going to get in trouble if they keep acting out like this. And he tries to be like a disciplinarian, but you can see that nobody in the village is really that mad at these girls and that they really treasure them and they're respect Belle-Mère.
They're like the only youth in the village, it seems like.
Yeah, there's like a couple boys that Nami and Nojiko like beat up, but you don't really see many other kids. And it does seem like everyone, although they have kind of bad reputations of doing their own thing, everyone really respects this clan of women who have these kind of cool attitudes and really strong fighting spirits. And that's what Belle-Mère tells them. She says, even though we're girls, we have to be strong and we have to fight and we have to know, what we're worth and what we're doing here. And we have to laugh through the hard times and never curse the age that you were born in, but learn to use it to your advantage and keep surviving. As long as you survive, there'll always be good times. So this Genzo brings back Nami to Belle-Mère, and he says she's been stealing a book, and Belle-Mère says, I'll pay you back with kisses. And then Nami also tries to pull that one on Genzo, and Genzo's like, oh, you ladies, your bad tricks. Belle-Mère has been teaching you her ways, and he's trying to admonish them, but he loves them.
He didn't say no, though. He did not say no.
No, he blushes and she goes, you're turning purple. And he's like so flustered by her. So do you ship them? Belle-Mère and Genzo? Do you think they're in love?
Oh, maybe. That would have been...
They were definitely in love.
Yeah, but that makes it so much more sad. Anyway.
It's so much more sad. Genzo is absolutely in love. Belle-Mère definitely, I think, would have married Genzo if she wasn't too focused with just working and helping provide for the girls. Also, Genzo is a really complicated character because he's brave, but he always tries to choose peace instead of fighting. And Belle-Mère chooses fighting. She's not going to choose peace and just bite her tongue and let people walk all over her. She's going to choose picking up her gun and fighting.
Yeah, I mean, eventually he chooses fighting, but...
I don't know that they would have worked out like...
Maybe, I mean, like...
They're in love, but I don't know that they would have worked out as mother and father to the girls. Like, they weren't supposed to live together. I don't know that Belle-Mère could have lived with a guy like that.
She was probably too hot for him.
She's a little bit too hot for him, but I think eventually she would have said yes and married him if they could have lived to be old people on the island together. Okay. And they could have gotten rid of Arlong. And it makes me really sad that they didn't. I almost cried so many times in this volume.
Anyway, go back to the...
So we have Genzo like kind of flirting with Belle-Mère and everything is all well. And the girls have dinner with Belle-Mère and they realize she's not eating. She's just eating tangerines because they live on a tangerine farm. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we're poor. We can't afford new clothes. We can't afford enough food for everybody. Belle-Mère, you're not eating. And this is when she says she's like 30 years old and I'm 29. So I'm like, it just made me so emotional because I'm like, she's so young. She had so much life ahead of her. She had this family she really cared for. And she is trying her best to feed them. And Nami gets so upset and she says, you'd be better off if we weren't your kids. I wish we would have been adopted by somebody rich. And it is so sad. And Belle-Mère doesn't really... She's a brat. She's in her own way trying to express her frustration that they don't have everything they need.
Yeah.
Because she feels bad for Belle-Mère.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a young child too.
Making a mistake.
It's not you can't really like blame a kid for that. But anyway.
No. So then Nojiko tries to like tell Nami not to act like spoiled. And then Nami says that they're not sisters. And Belle-Mère slaps her in the face and says, never say a foolish thing like that again. We're closer than blood. We are family. Nami runs into the village after saying some really hurtful things. And then Nojiko tells Belle-Mère, like, she didn't mean it. I'll go get her. She goes to get her and they see that Arlong is at the village collecting his like security payment from everybody and making them pay up, and everyone has to pay $100,000 per adult and $50,000 per child that lives in their home. And Belle-Mère does not have that amount of money, and they tell the girls to go out to sea, get out of the island so that Belle-Mère can live, because she doesn't have enough money for all of them, but maybe she has enough money for just herself. And so Arlong shows up at Belle-Mère's house and she tries to pull one over on him. She has her gun, and then Arlong bites gun in half. And that was really sad because for a moment you're like, she's got him, she's gonna blow his head off, and if she just would have pulled the trigger a little faster. And after that, she basically has Genzo looking at her saying, Nami or Belle-Mère lives alone, she only has to pay $100,000. You have that amount, right? And she says, yeah, I have $100,000. I'll pay it. And they're like, well, she has 3 meals sitting on her table, so she must have 2 kids. And Genzo says, nope, those meals are for me and the doctor. And then Belle-Mère says, no, those meals are for my daughters. Over my dead body, am I going to sit here and pretend like I don't have children when they're my pride and joy? I will never, ever disown them or pretend that they don't exist. I have 2 daughters and I love them so much. And she knows that they're watching. And they come out kind of running, screaming towards her. And they're like, don't do this. We can still save you. Like, please don't die for us, Belle-Mère. And she says, girls, I love you. And then they shoot her in the face in front of her daughters.
It's pretty bad. Yeah. It's really sad.
Really fucking sad. It's awful. And then Nami and Nojiko just have to move on paying this payment to these monsters. And then when they're raiding the house, they find Nami's maps.
Yeah.
And when they find Nami's maps, they say she's coming with us. And everyone in the village is just like, you said you would let Nami free if she paid the payment. And Arlong's like, nope, if she's good at being a navigator, she's going to be my navigator and come work for me. And that's when Nami gets kind of kidnapped by the Arlong pirates. And when she comes back, she has a tattoo of the Arlong pirate symbol. And she says, I work for them now. The only thing in this world that makes sense is money. And then she ends up telling Nojiko, they promised me if I could get 100 million berries that they would sell the town back to me and we could have the tangerine farm and all of the villagers could be safe. So just let me play this off like I'm an Arlong pirate. Let everyone be mad at me and I will save them in due time. Just give me a chance to work this off and make this deal with Arlong. And you know that Arlong is going to betray her, that nobody this rotten would ever let a little girl go or make a good promise to a girl or keep his word. So that's when we flash back forward 10 years later, and she is 7 million berries away from her 100 million berry goal, and it's all buried.
Yep, no, and that's, if it flashes back to where we're at, and Nami's going back to the Tangerine Grove. And so when she's going back to the Tangerine Grove, the Navy kind of randomly shows up. And it's this like scumbag mouse dude from the last one.
And Arlong in the last one, we saw him paying the mouse dude and they're in cahoots.
Yeah.
And so this is when we realize that Arlong has kept saying to Nami, I would never break my promise. If you can bring me 100 million berries, then I will let you free and I will set everyone free. And he has paid the Navy to go steal all of her money so that she doesn't have enough to ever be free. And he's going to keep spoiling her plans. So there's no way for her to get out of this. Even if she works honest for the rest of her life, he'll never let her go.
Yeah, no, and then she runs back to Arlon Park, confronts Arlon. Arlon's pretty much a dick the whole time.
Just laughing at her.
He's like, I said if you could bring me the 100 million, then I would, but I guess you have to start all over. And so she, instead of getting like, this is a really cool part of Nami, is instead of getting angry, she just runs back to the village while crying. But then as soon as she gets to the village, she's completely calm. And the villagers all know what happened because Genzo was there when the military came and found the treasure and stuff. And they're about to go like attack Arlon Park. And Nami's like, guys, don't do this. Like, don't worry about it. I'll just start over. It'll be a lot easier this time. I'm older. And they kind of like run past her and they're like, Nami, like, we know what you did. Everything, all your sacrifices have been worth it. But we're going to go fight for you now. This is our village. This is our home. You're part of the village. We're going to go fight now.
Yeah. And even Genzo, she points a knife at them and basically is, I'll get you guys. I'll stab you if you don't stand down. And Genzo grabs her knife and cuts his hand. And he says, there's nothing you can do to stop us. It's the last straw. We are going to defend you like you always defended us. And it's really heart-wrenching. And they run to Arlong Park. Johnny and Yasuku are at the gates of Arlong Park when the mob shows up. And they say, we won't let you guys in until the crew gets here. And they're like, what crew are you talking about? Meanwhile, back in the village, we have Nami and Luffy.
And so Nami is crying, and then Luffy's there, and he's like, is everything okay? And Nami just like throws dirt at him and says, go away, this isn't your problem.
She starts stabbing her tattoo of Arlong. She's stabbing herself to try to cut this tattoo out of her arm. And he's like, Nami, like, let me help you. And she's like, no, I don't need your help. And then she finally looks up at him crying, and he's like the only one to see her cry. And she says, help me, Luffy. Like,
finally. I teared up again reading that. I was like, I've seen this 1,000 times, but I teared up reading this. It's that good.
It's so good.
And so then he puts his Nami's head, and then starts walking down the road. And then his whole crew is like right there. Sanji, Zoro, Usopp, they're all there ready to go fight. And they walk to Arlon Palace. And then you have, like Courtney was saying, Johnny and Yasuko just hanging out, like holding back the villagers. And then Luffy just bangs through the door with a massive hit, and that's where it ends.
And it's so fun because it's
so good.
In this moment, Nami realizes that like Luffy has always understood her and has always been waiting for her to come around and realize that he's her best friend, because he's already kind of realized that about her, and she didn't need to say anything other than help me. And this will be a reoccurring theme like throughout One Piece, as far as I know from the anime. When somebody asks Luffy for help, he helps them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he is not going to like barge in there and like save people who don't want to be saved, but if you need his help, he's there to help you. And if you're his friend for life, and he's not going to give up on you. He's not going to get tired of you or believe your bullshit. He's going to stand true. He's such a good friend. I loved this volume so much. It made me tear up. I already did my makeup for the podcast, and I kept just looking at Wolfgang. I was like, I am going to puke. This is going to make me puke, because Belle-Mère gets shot in front of the girls. She gets buried, and they're bringing her flowers. It's just like so emotionally heavy. Mm-hmm. This is chapters 71 through 80, or 72 through 81. So we're quite far into the story, and you can tell that Oda is he's really building this depth in here. These characters have so much backstory because he plans for them to have such a long run and have so much effect on this world.
Well, this one really, like, Nami's backstory really hits too.
I would say she's the number 2 character. Like, she is, like, Zoro was the second person we met, but I feel like Nami and Luffy are the main characters. Like, Nami is the real main girl character, and Luffy's the captain, you know?
Yeah,
they're besties.
I mean, sure, but I mean, like, yeah, as far as backstories go, I'd probably agree with that. Absolutely. She
is so important to the crew too. Like, everybody else is very important, but that ship could not go anywhere without her. Yeah. And so I think Oda's really built this backstory to show, you know, just how central she is going to be to these people. She's been so central to the village. She has been so impactful to her family and Belle-Mère and even Arlong. Everybody can use her talents. So she is like really a core person to have in your crew. And I do think she's kind of Luffy's number 2 man. Like,
she's a bad bitch.
She's a total bad bitch. So I have some delusional boyfriend hang-ups here, because I wanted to pick so many people throughout the story. When we see Usopp throwing the exploding star at Arlong, I wanted to pick Usopp. When we see Zoro killing all of the fishmen by himself, I wanted to pick Zoro
on the throne.
And then when we see Sanji will not believe that Nami is bad, and everyone keeps calling her a witch, and he tries to kick Zoro in the face. He is mad at everybody for trying to betray her, and I was like, oh, that man is so loyal. So I almost wanted to pick Sanji for a second, but I bet you can guess who I picked in the end.
Belle-Mère.
Belle-Mère is absolutely my delusional boyfriend from this volume. Belle-Mère is hot. She is a great mother. She is badass and an amazing influence. She's somebody who, I love people who talk to kids like they're real humans who are going to have to exist in the world and don't dumb shit down. And she's that kind of person. And I would just love to raise her daughters with her. I'd love to be Belle-Mère's wife so she can make me her special tangerine sauce on duck. I think Belle-Mère is the dreamiest character. And I lost it when I first watched this in anime and saw her die. It was very hard on me, and that was the first time I ever made a One Piece TikTok, and all of the dude bros in One Piece came out and were like, oh, you'll never survive this series if you give a shit about Belle-Mère. Bros in One Piece came out and were like, oh, you'll never survive this series if you give a shit about Belle-Mère. And I was like, if you don't give a shit about Belle-Mère, how did you even get into this series?
Such an interesting take too, because like she's such a cool character, and like that's like saying that to Nami in real life, and then just getting slapped in the face. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? Belle-Mère's a really cool. She's like the whole inspiration for Nami becoming like who she was. So.
Yes, this is like the core of One Piece is family and friends and loyalty and grit and standing up for what you believe in. And the fact that Belle-Mère never once denied that she had daughters, that broke my heart. That was so heavy. I love her. I love that woman. She's an absolute, she's like, at this point, that's my number one of all of the characters. Mihawk and Buggy and Zoro and Usopp and everybody that we've met so far. Belle-Mère is my number one delusional boyfriend from this series. So far in this series, it's Belle-Mère over Chef Zeph, over everybody. Who is your delusional boyfriend?
Oh, it's definitely Luffy. Courtney, when he Courtney, the literal last scene,
right.
when he like puts the hat on and then starts walking down the road, and then his boys are right there automatically. I almost had tears. I was so proud.
Yeah,
you're
a little hard.
Oh, Courtney, I was so proud to be a Straw Hat Pirate fan. Like, oh my god,
because you're
like he's going to go defend his crew. Nami's awesome, and it's like he has all of his boys there for the first time, and we're gonna find a key like the hitters. He has all of them there, and it's such a sweet scene.
He sleeps like on the beach for the rest of this episode. He's doing nothing, and then that one scene sold it for you.
He has like 3 words, but like those 3 words hit hard. He's like, yeah, let's do this.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I love that because I don't think you've chosen Luffy yet as your delusional boyfriend.
Haven't. No, I knew I was going to choose him here because like that scene specifically is the ending into the next book. And it's like one of my favorite scenes of all time.
I thought you were going to pick Nami for this one because Nami is usually your delusional boyfriend, and she shows so much bravery. And
she also,
hard
but she also, in this one, she's also doing a lot of like mean things to the crew and not being a very good friend. But then she learns everything about being a friend from Luffy in this moment, and so going forward, then you have a lot of like meaningful interactions between Nami and the rest of the Straw Hat crew because, you know, they've gone through so much at this point. But right now, she's kind of like taking them for advantage, which
you think she's being a little bratty and like
a little bit, and like
not being a great teammate because she's trying to do it all herself.
And sometimes that is Nami's personality, and I have no qualms with that. But like here specifically, like they're trying their best to help her out, and she's kind of like being mean.
She's pushing them away too much.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that Luffy is your delusional boyfriend. Belle-Mère is mine. I like that we both picked a really gay delusional boyfriend. We both picked someone of the same sex because they had their hottest moments, and we are never going to be biased or sexist. We're always going to pick the delusional boyfriend who rang the most true. So let us know who your delusional boyfriend from this episode was, and make sure to check out a new One Piece episode every Tuesday. We're going to get through 50 volumes this year, and there's like 100 and I'm so excited. There's like 120 volumes total, right?
Oh, right now at least 120, I believe.
128 or something?
Yeah, it might be in like the high teens, like 119, but I believe it's 120.
I think it's like 120, 128. So if we go at this rate, we'll probably have 3 years of One Piece to do if we're doing 1 volume a week. So I hope you guys will join us. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're listening on the podcast app, make sure that you leave us a review. If you're on Spotify, give us 5 stars. If you're on Apple, write us something sweet. And make sure that auto downloads are turned on. Again, if you haven't, rate, review, and subscribe, and let us know your delusional boyfriend. We're so happy to have you here for this One Piece journey. And until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion
is the solution.
Bye.
See you guys.